Hey kids, Flexing Teacher Weber here. Hope you're having a good day. We are in our last fraction, decimal, and percent conversion. The only thing we haven't done yet is starting with a percent and writing it as a fraction and a decimal. So we'll do that today. So to write a percent as a fraction, make it a fraction out of 100, because that's the definition of percent. The definition of percent is a fraction out of 100. So make it a fraction out of 100 and reduce to lowest terms. So in this first example, 48%, that means 48 out of 100. And then reduce to lowest terms. And this is where we have to know our divisibility rules and our dividing. So the greatest common factor of 48 and 100 is 4. And when we divide 48 by 4, we get 12. And 100 divided by 4 is 25. And that answer is in the lowest terms. So that's how we write a fraction as a percent. Write a percent as a fraction. Let's look at a couple of other examples of that. I'm going to flip forward. Doink. 5%. Well, percent means out of 100, so 5 out of 100. And then lowest terms, well, the greatest common factor of 5 and 100 is 5. So we divide the numerator and denominator by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And 10 divided by 5 is 2. Tack on a 0, so you'll get 100 divided by 5 is 20. 1 over 20. Number 2, 28%. Well, percent means out of 100. 28 out of 100. The greatest common factor of 28 and 100 is 4. So divide the numerator and denominator by 4. 28 divided by 4 is 7. And 100 divided by 4 is 25. 7 over 25 in lowest terms is the answer. All right, the third one, 98%. Well, percent means out of 100, so 98 out of 100. Okay, they're both even numbers, so you can divide them by 2. The kids might have trouble with 98 divided by 2, so I would break it up into two numbers that are easier. Like, why not do 80 divided by 2 and 18 divided by 2? Because 80 and 18 add up to 98. And these are easier to divide. 80 divided by 2 is 40. And 18 divided by 2 is 9. So together that makes 49, which means 98 divided by 2 is 49. And 100 chopped in half is easy, that's 50. So in lowest terms, that's 49 over 50. Now I would consider those more of a grade 7 kind of question. Here's a couple of higher level kind of questions. 120%. Well, what I would do here is I would break up 120% into 100% and 20%. Now, 20% I know means 20 out of 100. And 100% means one whole. So we have a mixed number here. We have one whole and 20 over 100. And then reducing to lowest terms, I can divide the numerator and denominator by 20. And I get 1 and 1 over 5 for my answer. I mean, that's more of a grade 8 kind of question. If the kids are able to do these ones, that's awesome. And the last one, a real tricky one, but a good challenge for some kids. 24.5%. Well, percent means out of 100. So 24.5 out of 100. But that doesn't look right. You can't have a decimal in a fraction. So we want this decimal to move 1 to the right so that we have a whole number. And you can do that by timesing by 10. And that will make the decimal move 1 to the right. And if I times that by 10, I just times the bottom by 10. And what I end up getting is 245 over 1,000. Okay, and then getting that in lowest terms. Well, I know that they end in 5 and 0, so I know I'll be able to divide by 5. But how do I do 245 divided by 5? Well, I'll make it two easier numbers. How about 200 divided by 5? 45 divided by 5. 200 divided by 5, well, 20 divided by 5 is 4, so 200 divided by 5 is 40. And 45 divided by 5 is 9. Add those up and you get 49. 1,000 divided by 5. Well, 10 divided by 5 is 2, and then I can tack on 2 zeros. So that's going to be 200. All right. So that's how you take a percent and make it into a fraction in lowest terms. In the next video, I will show you how to take a percent and make it a decimal. That's all for now. Flexing Teacher Weber, out.